Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to sublimate 20-ounce skinny tumblers. So for this project I will be using the sublimation paper. It's the 125G 13 by 19, and I will link everything that I am using for this project in the description below. I will also be using the Cosmos ink, which is one of my favorites. There's many of them out there, different brands that you can use. I use a heat resistant tape and a sublimation printer. This one I converted into a sublimation printer, and you can find that video in my channel. So for this project I am going to be using 4 different designs, and I am getting them ready to print, and then next I will show you how I put them on the tumblers. So for the prepping of the tumbler, you need to remove everything, which means the lid, plastic, anything that's inside. Sometimes there's paper, shrink wrap, or anything. Just remove it and then clean them off with rubbing alcohol. So once you have done that, you will have to get the designs cut to size. I use my fabric cutter to do that, and a ruler, so I can get really nice straight lines. You just want to make sure that you are not cutting it shorter than you're supposed to, because then you will have a big gap between the lid and or the top of the tumbler, or the bottom. You'll have a big gap. So always make sure that you're cutting to the correct size, and you will see here how I do take my time to actually get them straight. I like to leave like a thin space between the bottom. I don't like to put the paper all the way to the edge of it, just because sometimes when you do that and you put tape on it, it'll create like a crease or a dent on the paper, and then it won't sublimate properly. You will get fading spots, and you don't want that. So then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that the paper is aligned correctly, and like I mentioned, that the paper is straight, and that you're leaving enough space between the top and the bottom. Then you will put heat resistant tape right in the center, and I always make it go from top to bottom. I do not put my tape side, across that line. I make it go from top to bottom like I'm showing here in the video, just because I've noticed that it leaves like a ghosting, or you can see the actual tape imprinted on the tumbler, and I don't like that. I don't know why that happens, but it does for me. So I just put the tape from top to bottom, as I'm showing you here in the video. Another thing, where the crease line, or where the two papers come joined together, that's called the pressing line or something like that. You do not want to leave it too short from there either. They have to overlap, so make sure that it's overlapping, because then you will have a white line, and you don't want that. Now make sure that the paper is pressed together tightly and holding it while you're putting the tape on from top to bottom. Make it secure and tight. You want it to be tight so you won't get a seam line. In other words, you won't get a noticeable seam line, because you will always have a seam line. It just won't be noticeable. It all depends on what type of the design it is. If it's a design that's let's say has a lot of color, then the seam line will kind of blend in and you won't get one. The only way you will get a seam line or a press line, whatever you want to call it, is when you do not overlap the paper and then you get a white line. So here you see me struggling to get the tape on the tumbler because it's easier said than done. I usually put the tumbler between my legs and closer to my body when I'm doing this, and that's the only way I can do it. But when you're trying to film this, it's hard. So now what I'm doing is just trimming the pieces that are sticking out from the top of the tumbler. And the reason I do this is because it's easier for me to tape it from there when there's no paper sticking out. So for the seam line, I always double tape it. I just try to make it to be as close as possible to the one that's there. I do not want to overlap it. So then run your fingers really hard, press down in there hard so that to make sure that the tape is on there tightly. And like I said before, it's so that you won't have such a noticeable seam line. I'll be using the Craft Pro Tumbler Press from Heat Press Nation. I am testing the pressure for my tumbler before I turn on the machine. Once that is done, then I will turn it on and I will set it for 370 for 69 seconds. So now the press is ready and I will be putting in the tumbler with the seam line towards the top. This way when the time is up, I'll just rotate it to the other side and I will be pressing this tumbler 2 times. Alright guys, so this is how they turned out. I am simply in love with them. They look so pretty, and these are ready to go on my website. If you guys like to buy one, you can go to my website. It's preciosascreations.store, and I will have that link in the description below, along with everything that I've used in this video. I do hope that this video has helped you in some way. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will be glad to help you. And also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.